And we are live. What's going on, folks? Welcome to episode number 20 of the Nuclear Golf Podcast. We've reached a new plateau of double digits tonight, fellas. My name is John. I'm the co-owner of Nuclear Golf and TW Legion, and I'm joined tonight by Joey over from Scheffler Fans, Ryan from JT Legion, and Hutch, one of our Nuclear Golf ambassadors.
I'm back.
Bunch of stuff we're gonna get into tonight, guys. Obviously, Brian Campbell won the John Deere yesterday. He's a two-time winner on the PGA Tour this year. I think every other start that he had this season, he was like outside of the top 30, and the two times that he was inside the top 30, he won. So we'll get into that. Max Homa was unable to close the deal once again yesterday. It looked like he was finally going to be able to get over the hump, but not so. Lucas Glover went on an anti-live tirade recently over on PGA Tour Radio, so we're going to discuss that. And Genesis Scottish Open preview this week. There's a big tournament this week. 8 of the top 10 of the world's top players are competing over in Scotland, including Rory, Scotty, JT, Xander, a bunch of others. So we'll chat about that. But we're going to get started today with Brian Campbell's win at the John Deere. Fellas, honestly, I know like people watched the John Deere. It looked like it was pretty well-attended event, lots of fans out there. But I can tell you, like just from running the main account with Brent, yesterday was probably one of the most low-hype events of the entire season, lowest engagement so far this year for a PGA Tour event. I'm not sure if you guys felt that when you were watching it. I mean, no doubt about it. Not the biggest names competing or anything like that. It's still a solid tournament. It's just it doesn't get the mainstream appeal. And I mean, I guess the leaderboard didn't really have the big names that it needed in order to get the viewership. We'll see what the viewership is when it comes out, but definitely felt like a little bit of a quieter week on the PGA Tour for sure. And I guess it's no surprise. It's the John Deere Classic at the end of the day. Just curious to hear your guys' thoughts. Did you have a chance to watch over the weekend? What did you think of the tournament? Ryan, start with you.
Yeah, I watched a little bit. I watched a few holes on Saturday and a few holes. Obviously, I watched the end of it on Sunday. Really was kind of hoping, I guess, for the world of golf that Max would have kind of really hung in there those last few holes. He just didn't putt super well on Sunday and hit I think on the par 5 there at the end, towards the end, he hit it in the rough and just didn't have a chance to really go for it. But I kind of join in with you, John. It was just like I just kind of felt like there was no hype, and I know a lot of that had to do with the leaderboard, obviously. But at the same time, I would have liked to see Max pull out, but I mean, Campbell got his second win this year, and he's 2 for 2 in playoffs this year. So I guess there's something to be said for that.
Well, it's like you like John was saying, if he isn't in the top 30, he wins. If he doesn't win, he's in the top 30, like outside the top 30. It's kind of like the old Ricky Bobby, like if you ain't first, you're last kind of thing, right? Like it don't matter. I guess when he gets in contention, he makes it count though, right? On the Homa point though, I think it's good. He's so talented, and we've talked about this several times this year. Every time we bring him up, he's so talented. Like it just. And two, he's so entertaining, be it on the internet most of the time, but he's so entertaining that he's so good for golf. It's nice to see him kind of get something like that going. Hopefully something he can build on, because without a doubt, golf's better when Max Homa's up near the top. It's the same thing we say about Jordan Spieth at times, but I'm a bigger Homa fan than a Spieth fan. And I think it's honestly just because of how engaging he is with the fans, with the audience, and a lot of that being online may be what it is, but I think that the game is just so much better with him up near the top. So hopefully something he can build on and something for the tour to kind of lean into.
Yeah. Someone fact check me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I think the stat is Brian Campbell is the worst player to have multiple wins on the PGA Tour since 2000. In terms of stroke average. So that's pretty impressive because, I mean, again, you can say all you want about how he plays other than the 2 tournaments he's won, but he's won 2 tournaments. And we got the list of guys that have done that this year. It's Rory, Scotty, Sepp, Ryan Fox, Ben Griffin, and now Brian Campbell. So
he's definitely the worst of that group.
by quite a bit. He's got is it the lowest ball speed on tour, I think?
Yeah, so I saw a good one yesterday where last week when Potgieter won, and this week they said there's a 30-mile-an-hour difference. That's insane.
That is wild that both of those styles can win on the tour.
Yeah, 30 miles an hour is a significant amount.
Look, the John Deere was at its peak when Steve Stricker was running that thing back in the day, right? Like that was.
Or I'm guessing like 14 or 15 or 16 when Jordan Spieth didn't he hold out shot there to win. So I mean that kind of put that thing back on the map in the post Stricker era, I guess.
Which is it's a good. It can be a good tournament. I think you just need some of the excitement and kind of where it was on the schedule back then was like the week directly before the Open Championship, I believe, right? Because I remember some guys winning for the chance to get into the Open, I believe. And obviously that Spieth year was hectic, right? That was such a climactic finish to a tournament. But gosh, I'm just such a homer for the Stricker Tiger, that era, and Stricker up there in the Midwest, the northern Midwest kind of area is such a good thing. So I miss it when it was like that, but I agree with you guys. It was kind of dead yesterday.
One thing to note though about the tournament, according to VC606, who's kind of like a world golf ranking guru over on X, he said that was the highest strength of field ever for the John Deere for the history of the tournament. Just looking at the numbers, I think there was 6 players from the top 50, 30 players from top 51 to 100, and 49 from 100 to 200. So, I mean, technically speaking, the field was the best that they've had ever. But, I mean, that's not saying a whole lot. I think when it comes to TV ratings and interest from the general public, it just didn't have that buzz to it. I mean, the only real storyline, there were 2 storylines yesterday. Like Brian Campbell could become, the 6th 2-time winner this season, which ended up happening, and Max Homa's comeback, right? Like, Max Homa hadn't won an event since I think it was 2023, I believe. I think it was early 2023, like out in January, right? So, I mean, he wasn't able to get it done yesterday, and we're going to get into all of that stuff with Max Homa.
Do you think some of the strength of field stuff kind of goes down to how the World Golf Rankings have been watered down by not giving live points? I mean, some of these guys, I think if the live guys were still included, some of these guys wouldn't be as highly ranked as they are.
Yeah, it's a factor for sure, I think. I mean, overall for strength of field this year, it was 34th. So
there's only 52 weeks in a year.
Yeah. Brian Campbell's best 4 finishes this season, according to Monday Q Info: win, T32, T32. So
ain't first your last, baby. Shake and bake.
He's all or nothing.
Yeah, it's interesting, but I mean, just speaking to the low hype yesterday, I mean, we're pretty dialed into what's kind of being consumed by the masses, how people are reacting to different news. Yesterday's tweet, for example, about Max Homa having his best finish since the 2024 Masters. Homa finished T5 yesterday. I think he was T3 at the 2024 Masters. So it's been a while. That tweet, just indicating his result yesterday, did 4 times the number of impressions as the winning tweet about Brian Campbell. So, I mean, that kind of goes to show how little interest there was overall. People weren't, liking and retweeting for Brian Campbell yesterday. But they appreciate Max Homa's efforts to come up with a strong finish. So there's that.
Personality-driven tournament, that one was.
Yeah, it wasn't even. I mean, like, in terms of actual content, the finish was. I mean, like, if you're just to take names out of the race, which obviously you can't for golf, but in terms of theatrics, you got to play off. You got some lead switches at the end. Like, the juice was there. It's just the names weren't. Obviously, if Homa could have made it happen, I know he had the chance on, was it 16, the par 3 to he stuck it, made that birdie, and then could have done it on 17. But I mean, the juice is there, but when you don't have the people at the top of the field to get the average folk excited, it's difficult.
Yeah, and Lipsky made it interesting too. I mean, he hit that 3-wood to like 8-10 feet, and to make eagle on 17, and then proceeded to make bogey, just a careless bogey. Honestly, just hit the ball in the rough and didn't need to at 18. Just find the fairway, make a par. So
you talking about Lipsky?
Yeah, Lipsky. Yeah, I mean he hit that amazing 3-wood in the 17. It's just like wow, and then it's gonna be a 3-man playoff. And then,
straight up snap hook on 18.
Yeah, and then the other part about it too is like watching those guys. They were just Grillo and Campbell. They were just sitting in the clubhouse, man. Like they weren't hitting balls. They weren't warming up. Dude. I know the guys were talking about that. I was like, man, that'd be stiff.
Did you hear how many times Ian Baker Finch said that? He was like, I believe I'd be on the range hitting balls. I'd be hitting balls right now if I were you. I'm like, no, bro, they're both just chilling, watching. Like they're cool.
They were just I mean, they weren't afraid that they were locking up or anything. They were loose, I guess.
Brian Campbell seems like a pretty chill dude, right? He was asked about that post round, and he said that was just kind of the strategy they were taking. They agreed that it was just going to, they had just been out there a long time. It was time for a rest, regardless of whether the playoff was going to happen. But you're right. Like all Max Homa had to do was make a couple of pars coming in and to get into the playoff, right? Because he made a couple bogeys late. And I mean, you just can't be making bogeys down the stretch at the John Deere Classic at the end of the day. That's kind of what it comes down to, right? Like what did he shoot? Did he shoot 2 under yesterday?
Looking.
He shot
almost everybody, Brian Campbell included, ended up having a bogey in the last 6 holes, right?
Yeah.
Between Lipsky.
Yeah, that's true.
But I mean, sustained bogeys, you can't have multiple mistakes at the end.
And I think what did Max in was just hitting the ball in the rough on 17. You just had no shot to go for the green when that was obviously accessible. You've seen a couple of good shots come in there. And then I saw earlier in the broadcast, they were predicting when this thing was probably when they were turning to the back nine, they were predicting they were like 21, 22s in a playoff. So they predicted scoring to be a lot higher than it was. And it just, pressure, wind, all that stuff comes into it. Just didn't play out. I don't think the way that they thought, especially after you watch the opening round and somebody shoots 9 under. You think it's gonna be 30 under this week.
Yeah, that's literally what I thought. I thought we were right back to one of those tournaments where we were going to have a 30 under winner, and it's just a crazy birdie fest. So I mean, I guess the course maybe showed a little bit of his teeth towards the end there, but. Golly, I mean, you look at the round 1 leaders, you had a 62, you had 2 63s, you had 4 64s, a bunch of 65s. I mean, like just something like that is just, you guys know how I am. I'm more of a around even par kind of guy. I don't like tournaments like that as much. So I guess we're kind of lucky in a way that it ended up being 19 under instead of 30 under, which it could have easily been if they didn't, get the course a little bit more difficult over the weekend as the week went on.
So before we move on to the Max Homa social media situation, Brian Campbell is climbing up the Ryder Cup rankings. He is up 18 spots. He's up to 28th in the Ryder Cup standings with 3,251 points. If the Ryder Cup was held soon, would you guys pick him?
No.
No.
I know we're trying to pick somebody every week to basically figure out whether or not they're going to be inserted into the Ryder Cup. But now, chill wise, love this guy's energy. Super cool for the Ryder Cup. He's pacing to go shoot T80, T60, T55. Like he's not now. If he does go find another win, it's either a win or a missed cut. But he's going to have to at least. Start playing out of his mind to even be in conversation.
If he ends up on the team, though, we got to pair him with Bryson at some point, though, just to get that 35-mile-an-hour ball speed difference as often as possible.
That would be sick.
All right. So Max Homa started the week talking about X and his opinion on social media. So let me just read this out for you guys first. This was his quote from his press conference earlier in the week at the John Deere. This is before he played well. Twitter or X is an awful, awful place. It took me a while to catch on to how impactful that can be and how much of a waste of energy it is. I don't know if it's the gambling world or whatnot. I'm happy they can do it, but it seems fun as hell in golf. But you get people. People say some bad things. People tell you you should die on the internet. Yeah, it's a safe haven for a-holes, for lack of a better term. Sorry, PGA Tour. We asked, do you agree with Max? Huge mix of opinions. Some people telling him that he's soft. Other people telling him, good for you, man. Stay off there. You don't need that negativity.
Mhm.
Which side of the coin are you guys on? And then we're going to get into, he's taken to Instagram literally, I think today or last night. I think it was earlier today, about some Instagram hate messages that he's received. So we'll talk about that. But first, your opinion on the press conference.
Go ahead,
Ryan.
Joe. You're good.
Oh, you got it.
I mean, I think what he said is all true. I don't think anything about what he said makes him a soft dude, right? I think he's just acknowledging that, it can be an absolute just field of waste on Twitter sometimes with all the hate and just with all just the negativity. And I think he is right. A lot of it is to do with the gambling and people just, getting pissed off that their bets aren't cashed, all this stuff, right? Like, and it's just, he's just speaking the truth, to be honest with you. I don't see anything wrong with what he said. There is a lot of positivity on Twitter and all other social platforms, but there's also a ton of negativity. And I think if you sit there and drown yourself out with all the negative comments, which is easy to do because it seems like it outweighs the positive comments, then I think he's just saying, it can weigh you down, and it's just best to take a break from it. I don't think anything he said was out of line at all.
I mean, I think he had the right. I think it was the right play because the press conference, you do kind of have the thing where it's, you think, okay, people are trolling you, whatever. And Max Homa was like quite a generational Twitter troll. And that was part of his personality. Like, you played into it.
Yeah.
You went on podcast, you kind of did your thing. It was something that set you apart kind of from the rest of the PGA Tour crowd. And so I think people were kind of had the right idea of like, okay, it's kind of soft to then turn your back and be like, all right, complaining about it. But then he packs up with the receipts on his Instagram story being like, I don't mean trolling. I mean being in my DMs, literally telling me that you're going to come kill me, or just some out of the pocket stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think he kind of sent that as a, look, I'm all for trolling. Like, I get it. But when it gets to the point that people with burners that don't have to take any accountability for what they're saying to you just berate you, and I mean, if it affects your golf game, it's a no-brainer. You can't sit here and it's fun to be able to mess around online and be a troll and kind of play into the Twitterverse, burnerverse and stuff, but you can only let that affect your game so far before it actually has to. You got to do something about it at that point.
Yeah, I mean, he's spot on. It's such a cesspool of just hate and negativity. Like, there's some positives to it, but especially, I mean, if you look at any professional athlete or any celebrities any tweet that they post, you're going to see underneath it, you're going to see just a bunch of hate and terrible stuff. It's all kind of up to you whether you consume that. I know sometimes it's hard to avoid it, but he's got a good point there. There is a big difference, like you're saying, Joey, between trolling and then sending death threats or I hate your family and this, that, and the other, or sending, like he posted like on Instagram today, like a Venmo request that somebody sent him because of money that they didn't win, right? Like, there's a big difference between that. I'm all for, and I think Homo would be all for, just kind of a smart ass comment here or there. Like, he made plenty of those when he was reviewing people's golf swings that he would do all the time on Twitter. There's a big difference between that and hate messages, right? And obviously, being a human being, like, it's going to affect you on some level. Like, you can't read all that negative stuff about yourself and your family and not have it affect you on some level. If it's affecting his game, I don't know if he's just kind of connecting the dots because he's played pretty poorly over the last couple of years. I don't know if he's trying to find a reason for that. Maybe he is. Who knows? I'm not really sure to what level that would affect you, because I've never experienced that much hate. I don't know what level it would affect me, but I'm sure it gets in your mind, and it definitely plays on your emotions a little bit. So I don't blame him for saying the things he said. I don't know what the answer is as far as tuning it down. I don't think they can tune it down. I think it's just got to be on you to avoid it as best you can.
Yeah, Hutch, you referred to the Venmo request. I guess you kind of alluded to the really bad messages as well. I mean, if somebody's joking around with the Venmo request, whatever, I think he can kind of laugh that one off for what it's worth. The one that really, I mean, I guess he is laughing about it today because he commented, I think he lost his parlay, and the message was as bad as it can be. It says, "I hope you effing kill yourself, dude. Hang it up, hang yourself, and everyone who calls you a homo should be allowed. Stop crying and win for once, and you're a cuck." That was the message. I mean, no need for that. I mean, if somebody placed a bet on you and that golfer didn't perform, that's your own fault. Like, you got to take accountability. If you don't have the money to make a bet, you shouldn't be gambling. So anyways,
and it's like he definitely feels bad enough that he didn't play well enough to win, right? Like, he doesn't need somebody else to tell him, like, hey, you blew it. Like, he knows. He knows he didn't play well enough to win.
Taking a stance of, like, he's not saying, like, Max Homa fully understands that he can just not open his DMs. That's why he basically said, this is why I'm kind of, like, not on social media as much. It wasn't like this huge, outpour of, you guys need to stop, you're bullying me. Like, he's like, if you guys are curious why I've stepped away, here's some receipts as to why. Like, I'm not even going to tell them not to do it. I know people are going to do that. I know it's inevitable. So I'm just going to decide to not digest it or put it, in any sort of realm of negativity.
Yeah, I think he's just taking a common sense approach. Again, like, I think he's just saying, hey, social media is a good place. There's a lot of filth on there. Try to filter out the filth, and just, trolling is fine, but just let me take a break every now and then. It's fine.
For sure. Anyways, let's move on. At the end of the day, Max Homa did get a T5 finish, and like we said earlier, it's his best finish since the 2024 Masters. So at the end of the day, he's moving in the right direction, and hopefully it leads to some more positive results to come. I think the game is better when he's playing well. It seems like there is generally a positive sentiment and fandom behind him. So we support that. Whatever brings more people and more interest into the game, we support here at Nuclear Golf. So go Max.
Go Max.
Anyways.
Boo death threats. Bad death threats. Go Max.
John, you should get in the PR.
Yeah. Did you guys see Aldrich Potgieter withdrew after the third round of the John Deere very suddenly? I'm not sure if he was catching an earlier flight over to Scotland or what. He was in the hunt, and then he shot 75 on Saturday. I think he shot 5 over 76, I think. He was in the hunt, obviously had a bad day on the weekend, literally just won the Rocket Classic. No signs of an injury or anything like that. No reason given, no reason provided by the PGA Tour communications team. So not really clear what went on there, but it was interesting nonetheless, I thought. What'd you guys think?
Yeah. I mean, it could have just been fatigue too, man. I mean, after a win and going through all the pub and the PR constantly. I mean, it could have just been just true fatigue. And as we know, that can lead into physical things too. So not saying there's anything physical going on, but I think it's probably more fatigue than anything, to be honest.
Yeah, probably the case, to be honest. He's probably already over in Scotland and leaving early. He probably already got out onto the course maybe earlier this morning. So
most likely.
Makes sense.
He's slinging around that ball speed around there in Scotland.
Yeah, exactly.
Showing off.
So Lucas Glover, I'm not sure if you guys had a chance to read or hear the comments that he made over on Sirius XM PGA Tour Radio. But he really went off on Live Golf. I mean, this is another level compared to some of the other guys who just say, some guys say whatever they say about Live. I'm I'm on the tour side like Scotty and whatnot. But Lucas Glover really ratcheted it up a notch. He said, let me get the quote here. I don't want to play with them. Me personally, I don't think they should be back here. Don't want them here. They made their decision. I don't blame any of them. They made a decision. I don't care. But they also went away from this tour and chose to. As a PGA Tour player and somebody that dreamed of playing on the PGA Tour, and I've poured my heart and soul into this tour and game for 21 seasons now, I don't want somebody that chose another path. I don't want them back here competing and taking part of my pie and these kids' pie that are trying to make it now. So Lucas Glover sounding off. He says that live golfers are not welcome on the PGA Tour. End of discussion. What are your guys' thoughts on this?
I mean, it just sounds like a get off my lawn speech in a way. It sounds almost like when the split happened, it sounds like that was the opinion 2 years ago. Like that's not necessarily, I would say he's not voicing the opinion of the majority of the PGA Tour right now. That would just be my guess. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I don't agree with that opinion. I think the game would be much better if those guys were playing, if at least 4 or 5 of those guys were playing with these guys. But I just felt like it was just kind of an old man speech.
But you're right. I mean, that was kind of the general consensus a couple years ago. Well, maybe even more than a couple years ago. But that was kind of the consensus then. Things have gotten a little more nuanced since then. Like if you remember, like at the time when it happened, it was like, oh, we can't even talk to those guys. We can't even be friends with those guys, was the way that it was portrayed in the media. And now you see guys are kind of buddy-buddy. You've had them play events together, team events together, or they're playing practice rounds at majors together. Like, it's not that serious. It's not that deep. It did sound very much like a old man, get off my lawn. Like, what are you even doing around here kind of speech. I don't know if is this the first interview he's given about this? Because that's kind of what it sounded like to me. Like,
no.
Like, this is the first time I've been asked about it. And so I'm going to just go in, like, and go hard as hell. And he did.
No. He has a show, I'm pretty sure, on XM PGA Tour Radio, I believe. So his comments are out there pretty often, but I mean, I know he's like deep in the PGA Tour. Like, I think is he on the policy board? I believe.
Yeah.
So
I think he is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think this is his first set of comments like this. It's been. I mean, he's had some sound bites on Sirius before about this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sure he has. I'm just trying to figure out why he picked now to take such a just balls to the wall stance. You know what I'm saying? Like it seemed to come out of left field and come out of nowhere. And I don't know if that's kind of being that he is so plugged into the PGA Tour. Like, I don't know if this is kind of him hinting around at how things are behind the scenes that maybe we don't know about as much in terms of negotiations and things like that. Like, I don't know if he's kind of trying to plant some seeds. I'm not really sure about all that. I would be curious to find out what the motivation was to come out this hard and draw such a strong line in the sand.
Yeah, I thought the same thing when I heard it, because I'm like, unless he was in a coma for the last, 4 seconds. If he's that, in touch, like you said, Hutch, it's got to be maybe it could just be fatigue. Like, he's just tired of hearing about it, and maybe it's his 10th request for a comment on it, and he's just finally snapped. But maybe there's a little something deeper to it that, there's been some stuff in the meetings, there's some stuff shared between, communication threads behind the scenes that's just kind of rubbed him the wrong way, and he's just finally decided to kind of let loose about it.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of context to it, so maybe he can get away doing that. But it was definitely strange to see how, I mean, that's something you would have heard 3 years ago. That was definitely fire. It was fire.
It was just bizarre.
Yeah,
it was bizarre. That was my first thought of that's just such a bizarre thing to say now, given the way things have been the last few months with everybody kind of being a little more buddy. So I'm not really sure where that came from, but it was certainly got people talking.
I mean, I have no information, but maybe a previous offer was made to Mr. Glover. Maybe. I mean, who knows? He would fit the mold for, some of those guys that left. So who knows? But anyways, T9 and T5 for Glover in the last two events. T9 at the Travelers, T5 at the Deer. So,
yeah. I think one more thing on that, John, too, is I don't know if you guys get this sentiment or not, but it seems like over the past few months, maybe 6 months, it seems like there's an idea that the tour is fine, that they're actually going to be doing fine. When it was all doom and gloom, the tour's going down, and now everybody seems like the tour's doing fine. And so, maybe there's a part of that where he's just like, we don't need it. Maybe he's just voicing it in this way. I don't think it comes across greatly, but maybe he's just kind of like, hey, we're good. We don't need you. And again, don't agree, but that could just be his opinion.
It's a significant 180 though for Glover, because if you go back to December 2024, he actually put out on the Lucas Glover show on SiriusXM. He said he called for live golfers to be allowed to play the big events. He said if you're going to put on a top end event, there's some top end huge talent playing live, and he was calling for those guys to be into the signature events. And now
then it's got to be
guys, yeah.
It has to be that he knows something that the rest of us don't know.
He must.
It has to be.
Yeah.
And John,
there's no other explanation.
We got sent the other quote in March of this 2024. He was very anti-signature event, sent out an entire blaster of why they shouldn't be a thing, why they're dumb. And then he's saying live people should be in signature events. And then now he hates live people. So someone needs to do an entire string together of all of the, his takes.
There's just
the various takes of Mr. Glover.
There's just some true Jekyll and Hyde stuff going on.
All right. That's probably enough of the John Deere for this week. And enough.
I like John that called it the Deer. I'm going to just call it that from now on.
Yeah, that's what it is. The
It
Deere.
should be.
It's the Deer.
Genesis Scottish this week. So we're officially into the British Standard Time Zone events now. Actually, I think this week's might be, is it Scottish time or is it the same time zone as the Open?
It should be the same time zone, I believe, right?
Okay.
It's early. I know that.
Early. Hope you guys like waking up, because the Scottish Genesis Open is this week. 8 of the top 10 in the world, not that we think anything of that anymore, are playing. Let's just go through some of the guys in the field. Scotty, Rory, Xander, JT, Morikawa. By the way, before we get into the Genesis Scottish, Colin Morikawa has legendary caddy Billy Foster on the bag this week and next week.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, this is not a permanent move, but some people made some good points over on X that actually, I think you made the point that Billy Foster's got, pretty strong personality, which Colin Morikawa has just kind of dealt with Joe Griner getting rid of him after a short stint on the bag. Ryan, what's your thoughts on him bringing in Billy Foster onto the bag? Obviously caddied for Matt Fitzpatrick for I think 6 years and several other legends prior to that. What are your thoughts?
I kind of think it's the same thing as with Joe. Joe has a very strong personality on the course, and so does Billy. From all the sound bites, from all the feature group coverage that I watch and listen to, and he kind of challenges his player. He kind of doesn't ask him. He just kind of gives him the facts. Like, here's what this is. Here's what this is. Here's what I think, and he goes with it. He's not necessarily what I would call like a confirming type caddy. He doesn't just confirm whatever the player says. He actually has feedback if he doesn't agree. Mm-hmm. So I think that's going to be interesting. I personally do not see this lasting long term with these two. And Billy's a great caddy and Colin's a great player, but it doesn't mean that you guys communicate.
Personality thing.
For sure. So I think it's probably just for these couple of tournaments, would be my guess.
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe that's why they just scheduled it for 2 weeks. So there's not like an official firing at the end of 2 weeks. Like, we don't have to fire another caddy. Like,
this is contract work.
This is what it is.
Yeah. Contract. This is as veteran of a looper as they come, though. I believe 42 years Billy Foster's been on the bag. He has according to Jamie Kennedy on X, he's caddied for Seve. He's caddied for Darren Clark, caddied for Tiger for, I guess, a short period, maybe an event or two or something. Thomas Bjorn, Sergio, Lee Westwood, Fitzpatrick, and now Morikawa. So be interesting to see kind of how Morikawa performs with a new guy on the bag. As we know, Morikawa hasn't had a terrible year by any stretch. I mean, he's been making cuts and stuff like that. It's not like he's been out there completely lost of his mind, but I mean, he's obviously looking for something different. It's surprising that he would go with someone like Foster. We'll see how this search kind of develops. He had his college friend on the bag. I think was it at the Rocket?
Yeah.
And then now
College
this
teammate.
move. So I mean, to be fair to Colin, he probably hasn't really had the time to really scout out a long-term replacement yet. I mean, if I had to imagine, they're saying this is a 2-week stint, but this could really be more than that. Like this could be a trial run.
Oh yeah,
They're not
for sure.
They're not saying that, but yeah.
I think ultimately, like like you say, you need time to kind of scout it out and see what's going on. So I mean, it wouldn't surprise me, especially as many as he's been through this year, if he didn't just kind of take it sort of week by week or a couple weeks at a time for the rest of the season, and then really hit it hard in the off season trying to find a permanent replacement. Because at this point, like it seems to be, like you say, Ryan, like it's as much of a personality thing as it is a golf thing. Yeah. Like it needs to be the right fit for him. Clearly, if he's firing guys that are a little more vocal and go against, not necessarily go against what he's saying, but are giving him feedback and not just being like a yes man, like you're talking about, Ryan. So I don't know. It's such a good bag to have, right? Like he's one of the most desirable bags on tour, especially in terms of talent. I mean, he's a winner. He's a major champion. Like he's a player, right? Yeah. So I would think that there's going to be plenty of guys lining up that would love the opportunity to get the bag. I just think that you may need a little more time, especially seeing what he's been through the last couple of months in terms of caddies, to see if it's a good fit or not for everybody involved.
Yeah. And for me, it just seems like a strange visual to see Billy on the back in the Ryder Cup. Like that's the whole thing that I keep coming back to. I'm like, I can't see Billy rocking a USA hat. It's just, it doesn't fit for me.
But I've always thought that was weird, seeing the caddies that don't really fit with the country that they're representing in the Ryder Cup. I don't know if to me, it feels like that should be a rule that they can't be the caddy if they're not an American or if they're not European or whatever. But that's a long time thing for me, a little side thing.
I think I've just seen Billy for so long in the Ryder Cup on the European tour that it's like, or the European side, it's like, oh man, there's just no way he's repping an American bag. But
it's a turncoat.
It can happen. It's definitely happened.
Yeah. For sure, it's happened.
Like it's like Joe with Luddy. Joe's on Luddy's bag, so I mean, it happens.
I think we've definitely reached that point in the season where it's time for kind of a change of pace, change of scenery. It's time that we get into some links golf. I think it couldn't really come at a better time. Honestly, we're kind of through that stretch of the PGA Tour where kind of lower interest amongst the masses. Now we're into July. We need something to spice it up. We've got links golf for the next 2 weeks, and I think it's going to be good, right? We've got, I was going through my list there. I'm at the 5th guy, Morikawa. JJ Spawn's teeing it up this week. We've also got Ludwig and Sepp Straka. So, I mean, I'm excited for the Scottish. Honestly, I'm looking forward to getting up early on the weekend and watching the coverage. Should be pretty good because, 9 a.m. Eastern is 2 p.m. Scotland. So can't hate that, right?
I mean, we're pretty much here in the heat of we're getting to the last major championship of the season, which it's hard to believe that we're this far in, that the season's almost over. I mean, it's crazy, but this, like you say, it's a great change of pace. It's a perfect time for it. I love links golf. I love weirdly getting up stupid early to watch it. So it's going to be just a great couple of weeks. I can't wait for it.
Yeah. Previous winners at this golf course, Xander Schauffele won in 2022. Actually, I'm not positive if they were all at the Renaissance Club or not. I know Rory won in 2023 and it was at Renaissance. McIntyre won last year. He's the defending champion. He's teeing it up this year. So it'll be exciting. Pretty good field. Lots of big names. And I think it's just going to be exciting to watch. Is there anyone that you guys are looking forward to watching this week in Scotland?
Scotty.
All of the above.
Scotty,
Very,
Scotty, and JT.
and JT for sure. Well, I'm just looking. I'm excited that the top 5 guys are all playing this week. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, really, so many of the top 10, but I kind of don't see a winner coming outside of the top 5, to be honest. I mean, those guys are in such good form. I mean, even after Rory's lag at the Masters, like he can pick that. He can pick his form up. Scotty's always in good form. JT seems to be in pretty good form most days of the tournament. Seems to have an off day, so hopefully he's cleaned some of that up. And I know all those guys are over there too, so you know they're getting acclimated, they're getting work in. I think those guys will put on a good show this week.
I'm excited to see Rory get him back in action a little bit. I know this is kind of what he's spent like the last couple of weeks in London, right, John? Like he's kind of moving over there, and I'm excited to see him kind of get comfortable and see what he can do. Plus, like you said, with him winning in 2023, that, of course, we all remember the 2-iron shot he hit on the last hole. That was just crazy. That little low piercing bullet to win the tournament. So this is I'm excited for it. And you remember early in his career, like he wasn't the greatest link style player. And he's kind of grown to love it. You hear that a lot with the greats, that they kind of learn to love this style of golf. So it's exciting to see, especially to find that next young guy that's going to kind of learn to love it and grow into something special over there.
Well, also the course plays, I think I don't remember if it's top 10 out of the reset courses that driving distance matters the most in terms of scoring average. But I mean, Rory could get back on the horse here, and everyone's going to kind of forget about the post Masters slump. I mean, you go get a win over in Europe, and now the Open automatically looks, versus what you would have said about Rory 3 weeks ago. You've got a whole different 180 spin on that. So I'm excited. I think he's got a good chance to go out there and give Scotty a run for his money.
It's give Scotty a run for his money. That's fun. But that's the reality of where we are, is that like Scotty is the guy every time he plays. He's like, who's going to challenge Scotty?
Yeah. But Rory's also done some things to his game where he's worked on a lot more half shots. He switched the ball. He's hitting a lot more 3/4 shots and stuff. And obviously that stuff goes a long way in link style golf too. So I definitely fancy his chances this week.
Ooh, look, I'm using a Scottish term there.
He's in open mode. Holy.
Yeah, he's in full on open mode. I tell you, one other person that I'm really looking forward to is Tommy Fleetwood. See kind of his kind of getting back into it after his heartbreak. And I'm excited to see Tommy Fleetwood too. Because I think if Tommy Fleetwood were able to come up with a win one of these next 2 weeks, the response, the love, the adoration that he would get from that crowd in particular would be just insanity. I think it'd be insanity. So I do want to see him play.
On Tommy Fleetwood, I mean, this would count as a PGA Tour victory, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's the co-sanctioned event, right, with the DP. So, I mean, Tommy's been struggling to get one over in America, but I mean, he could get that first PGA Tour win here.
I'd like to see them make this a signature event. And I don't know how that works with the co-sanctioning, but this would be a better signature event, I think, if we could move it a little later.
I think a lot of those signature events are centered around big market centers, like fans. I mean, I'm not saying they don't have that over in Europe. They do. Yeah. There's going to be a great gallery out there, I'm sure, this week. I think it would just require some adjustment to their kind of strategy and thinking around the signature events, probably.
I mean, look at the field that they have, right? Like, this field is amazing. And, most guys are going to play because they can get acclimated to the time change. To me, it all makes sense to make this a signature event. I don't know how all that would work logistically as far as the planning goes, but it seems like it would really make sense.
Right. If the money's right, Ryan, they can figure it out.
100%.
They can figure it out. Hey, you know what's wild though is like a couple of years ago we were kind of close to, if things had gone just a little bit differently for Scotty, he wouldn't be allowed to play these tournaments because he wouldn't be able to leave the United States of America as a convicted felon.
Never forget, man. You got the
never forget. Inmate number, whatever it was. I'm sure Brent's somewhere watching this saying,
I don't remember
the number right now.
Number, so.
Between him and Tom Kim in the military.
I don't have that number on me. One thing I just wanted to add about Rory, I agree with you guys. I think he's going to play well this week. I think he's going to be coming in with a very fresh state of mind. I think we're going to see that from his press conference probably.
Yeah.
I just think he's been, able to relax probably for the last couple weeks. Probably put the clubs away for a few days. I think he was playing a couple of courses in the lead up to this event, preparing over there because he's been at his home in London. But I expect Rory to come in refreshed, rejuvenated, and probably play pretty well. Wouldn't be surprised at all. I mean, he's a past champion at this tournament, so kind of speaks for itself, right? We've also got Live Golf this week, Hutch. Live Golf Andalusia in Valderrama, Spain. Starts on July 11th. So I guess that's Friday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tuning in?
Am I tuning in?
Yeah.
100%, baby. Always.
Let's go.
Steady.
I'm a big live supporter. This is going to be an interesting week. I know that there's obviously you got the whole Spanish team, right? So obviously Sergio, and then there'll be big guys to look for this week. John Rahm's streak of top 10s just ended at the last Live event. He got 11th. So we'll see if he can kind of get back on the horse. Also, home country kind of thing for him. So it'd be nice to see him pick up a win. Live, obviously going to pick up and kind of play in Europe the week before too, to kind of similar mindset as PGA Tour to get everything set and get these guys ready to play the link style next week at Portrush. It's going to be a good event. Obviously, you guys know as well, the fans in Spain are just crazy. So it'll be loud. I'm sure Valderrama's got a ton of history. It's going to be a good week. I'll be tuning in.
I'll tune in. I'm there.
It's $20 million prize fund at
Yeah.
Valderrama. $5 million for the team win.
Now, unlike the last couple Live events, though, I think this week there might be some, because the last couple times Live has had an event, it's kind of gone up against a smaller or weaker PGA Tour event.
Mhm.
So the leaderboard in Live didn't even compare to the PGA Tour leaderboard in those. I think this one you might have some real competition with the top 5 players in the world playing on the PGA Tour this week. So, it's a great weekend for golf, and then it all leads up to ultimately next week with the big weekend where everybody's together.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be exciting. It's a great time.
Okay. Discussion post. Pretty interesting one. Let me just pull it up here. So besides, this went very viral on our account, so figured we would ask you guys your opinions on it as well. Besides, quote, sit or get down, what are other phrases you yell at the ball mid-flight? Right?
Well, I'm gonna be honest. We'd probably get flagged on Twitter if I said.
Yeah. I don't know about that, man.
True. All right, let's censor it down. Give us the Cole's Notes version.
I will say there's nothing funnier to watch somebody else do, but just tragic when I do it. It's when it's on a frozen rope right at the pin and you give it a little be the number. It's either 20 long or 20 short. I mean, it's never even remotely close to the number. So that's one of those that really, really does hurt when you're on a par 3, especially when the people behind you are like people in your group hear it. Sometimes you can give it a little whisper to the side, just be the number. But when they hear it and it's just miles off, I mean, you're talking 2 clubs short, absolutely brutal.
Yeah, for me, it's like I'm yelling cover. I'm just yelling cover, and then you're and then I'm playing with my brother or somebody, and it just splashes right in the bunker. It definitely didn't cover, so just makes you when you miss hit it a little bit, it looks pure in the air, but you know how you hit it a groove thin.
Yeah, you give it the old tiger and just scream bite a bunch of times. Yeah, bite.
Yeah.
Ryan, I don't think I've ever said cover. I actually don't think it's ever covered, whether it's a bunker or water. Usually not closed, which is.
I'm usually so shocked when it comes off and it looks great. I'm usually so shocked that I can't say anything. I just gotta watch it and hope that it works out.
Don't jinx it. Hold your breath.
Yeah, right.
Silence is probably the best answer to that, John.
Yeah. That's usually it.
All right. Well, I think we're gonna wrap it there. I mean, it's a pretty slow week coming off the John Deere. We're looking
next week. It won't be though.
Yeah. Next week it will not be a quiet week. We will be back for 3 shows. It's a major championship week next week, the Open Championship at Royal Port Rush. We will be here with the coverage that you guys want. Not sure on the exact scheduling times yet. We're going to have to work that out just because the time zone differences. So I'm not sure if we're going to be live in the evenings or if we're going to be live in the afternoons, but we will communicate that to you guys. Yeah, we might be live early in the morning, guys. So we'll see. We'll communicate over on X when we're going to be going live, and we'll put out a schedule for next week. But you can probably expect 3 shows as we usually do during the major championship weeks. So yeah, we will definitely communicate that over on X. So we'll give you guys lots of heads up. But if you're looking for our show, you can find us as always live on X. You can find us live on YouTube. Replays are available on both of those platforms as well. But you can also find us over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music. I'm getting some chirps in the comments here from Joey, so I'm just trying to ignore that. But yeah, we're looking forward to next week. We'll be live 3 times, as we said. Looking forward to the Scottish this week. I hope everybody enjoys the coverage all week long. Without further ado, my name is John, co-owner of Nuclr and TW Legion. I've been joined tonight by Joey from Scheffler Fans, Ryan, JT Legion, and Hutch, one of our Nuclr Golf ambassadors. It's been a great show, guys. As always, we'll catch you later. See ya.